Good evening, everybody. Welcome to SVTV. I'm Andy Fleming. I'm hosting tonight's show, and we're following up from Tuesday night's chat with the senior men's national team. Tonight we have got some players from the women's senior national team. So I'm looking forward to this chat tonight. We've had a little bit of a conversation off air, and the ladies are buzzing to get on. Remember that we are live and interactive across our social media platforms, so if you've got any questions you want to get to the team, then please put them in the comments, and we will try our best to answer them as we go through our chat. So waiting patiently backstage are the ladies from the national team. So by the power of TV, let's have them out and welcome our guests.
Hi.
Good evening. So, Carly, now I always do this. I forget that the whole Murray, the married name, Carly Murray, Laura McVeary, and Barry Agnew. Welcome to SVTV, all debutantes. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I took a beamer already. Look at me.
Yeah. It was all the makeup that we do beforehand coming on. It gets us glowing and gets us ready for it. Bonjour, Vaza. How are you?
Ça va?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good.
Ça va? How's your French?
French.
Is it good? You learn?
Yeah, it's pretty good this year. I can get by pretty easily now, which is good. It makes life a lot easier.
Oh, okay, good. And in terms of how you're representing out there, you're not doing anything silly like the Joey Barton sort of I am talking French, no? You're not doing anything like that, are you?
No,
right,
don't worry.
We'll leave that in the past. So, following on from Tuesday night, we've got you guys out here to put you through your paces and ask you about your experience as members of our senior national team. But before we're doing that, we want to find out how you've been getting on. So let's go with Laura straight away. How have you been getting on in general without volleyball?
Not too bad, surprisingly. It's weird not having the routine of volleyball anymore. I find that I've been very much on and off with fitness this year. And I think every time it seems as if volleyball is going to come back or it's going to go back to normality, suddenly I'm, straight in there, right, I better get ready. And then every time a new lockdown comes, I'm on the plummet again. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster. But luckily for me, work-wise, I work for Merck. So we have had lots and lots and lots of orders. We are working essential work throughout COVID and actually been quite a kind of strong contributor to the vaccines that have been getting rolled out. We've been supplying materials down to the Oxford Jenner Institute. So yeah, so I've been kept really busy. Aye, so my life's
pushing us back to normality. Well done.
Yes.
Let's big up, round of applause. Big up, Laura. I'm loving that. Also, I do a little bit of research, and I have noticed that you quite embrace the outdoor environment. You like a little bit of the outdoor environment, walking and whatnot. Have you been able to get any of that done?
I was supposed to be climbing Mont Blanc last June, and that got cancelled. And it was probably kind of lucky because all of the training that we were planning to do get cancelled. The hills are too far away from me to do any during lockdown. So the only one I've really got semi close is Tinto, which is only like 500 meters. So. So I've actually just been doing a lot of just regular walking. My mum's, she's probably watching, been doing a lot of walking. We've been like kind of competing against each other on our Fitbits every Tuesday. She messages me going, I've got the most steps.
Good one-upmanship with the parental unit. I love that.
Yes. So just regular walking, not hill walking, sadly.
Listen, it's all outdoor. It's all mentally positive.
Yes,
so that's great.
Exactly.
Carly, how are you getting on? What's it been like minus volleyball for you?
Definitely been weird. So I think I'm just so used to having literally my whole life scheduled all the time around volleyball, just constantly on the go, working volleyball training, games, and just to not have that kind of routine has been really difficult. And I think I realised how much just exercise affects my mood as well. Like I realised if I went a few days without doing like a workout or something, I just was in a much worse mood than I normally am. So yeah, I definitely found that hard. And I think, see, more than anything, like you realise how much of a kind of community you're in, like with everybody in your club and national team. And so, see, just not being around people all the time, it's really hard. And yeah, so I've definitely found it tough. But we managed to play quite a lot of beach over the summer season, so that definitely helped. And I've been doing quite a lot of outdoor like fitness stuff. So I've been, if you ever see people working out on a roof next to Kingston Bridge, it's probably me, because I've been out there. I was up there last night in the pouring rain. So yeah, I've been trying to keep active, keep fit, and quite a few of the other girls from the national team and Sue go to that one as well. So it's good to sort of be able to see people whenever you're allowed in a kind of group setting. So yeah, trying to keep busy.
Perfect. And now I come to you, Barry, and I'm saying it because it's just so unfair, but you're still playing, you're still having the life, you're loving it. Tell us how it's been, because obviously we're super jealous and obviously super immensely proud. So talk to us about what your last wee while's been like.
So I've been in Paris now for the last 7 months. So pretty much since we came out of lockdown in the UK, I moved straight back over here. And it's been very different, obviously, everyone else's experiences. I've been playing volleyball the whole time. We've had a couple of COVID scares, so we've had some shutdowns for a few weeks here and there.
Yep.
But other than that, I've been training most days, games, just everything like normal. But it's obviously very bizarre, the fact that my friends or family can come out to visit, things like that. It's very different to my first season last year. The life is very much only volleyball and nothing else, but I mean, it's good. It's what I signed up for, so I'm very, very lucky and very grateful that I'm still able to play just now.
Yeah, I mean, when you were on the verge of signing that contract post-COVID, you're thinking, yes, I'm going to an absolute winner, and then your second season is an absolute mind-blowing experience because you're now having to do it all through COVID. So how did you manage with that?
Yeah. I think I signed this contract, actually, it'll be almost a year ago. So I came back from France in middle of March last year, and I signed this contract probably middle of April, knowing that I'd leave in August. So by the time August came, I was like, great, like off I go. And then I left a few of the girls. I said to like Carly, Laura, Claire Ramage, Kirsty, like maybe you guys can come out and see me for the first game of the season in September. And that was very, very optimistic. So obviously, no, that's not panned out well. That's us played 24 games now. We've only got 6 left of the season. So I think this will be a write-off for having any visitors this year. But it's been good. It's been an experience.
And how you handling it? You strong? You doing well, team-wise?
Team-wise, yeah, the team, we've had a lot of injuries, which is definitely to be expected post-COVID. We've had in our team maybe 7 or 8 big injuries now since August, which has been pretty difficult to handle. But luckily, none of them have been with me, so I've managed to keep going. And you obviously just have to take each thing as it comes. But as I say, whenever I feel a wee bit sick of it, or if I'm tired, talking to any of the girls here and seeing how much they miss volleyball does put it in a lot of perspective for me.
I'm glad we can help.
Girls,
Thank you.
I'm glad you can do that emotional crutch for her. She's having a difficult day of playing volleyball. Yeah, well done. Brilliant. So, totally different perspectives on the screen, and delighted to see there's a lot of chat starting to fly in from some of our usual suspects that we'll get to those questions. But the first thing I really want to go is, don't worry, it's all right. Let's just dig into a little bit about how you ended up playing volleyball, because it's one of those questions that we've asked a lot of folk. How did you end up playing, and what was your sort of journey from the minute you walked into the volleyball gym, falling in love, and then ending up in the national team? So let's go with Carly. You're up first. How did you end up doing what you're doing?
I think I first played volleyball when I was in like primary 7, and if I'm honest, I did not like it at all.
Oh.
I'm not a fan of this, and I'm sure we played in a tournament, and one of the other teams was basically like catching and throwing the ball over the net, and I thought, I don't get this. This is not right. And then so I went to high school, and I went to Stonelaw, which is like a really big volleyball school, and I always played badminton, and a bunch of my friends played volleyball, and I was like, not interested. And then one of the times we had the PE teacher, Mr. Byrne, he took my PE class, and he was like, you're tall, you should play volleyball, come along. And so my friends kind of dragged me along, and and then I definitely like found a love for it, and then I used to play every kind of lunchtime, play after school. And then we started going to the junior sessions along at Glasgow Mets along our Tuesday night. And I did that right the way up until I think I was about 17. And then I started playing in the National League, the second division of the National League then. And Simon was our coach. And so, I've just never kind of stopped playing ever since then. So it's definitely something that I developed a love for. But and now all those friends who all convinced me to go along to the lunchtime sessions, not one of them plays, but I'm still here. Years on.
Well, big up the Stonelaw massive. I know that Mr. Byrne has he's certainly influenced a massive generation of volleyball players, so it's great to see you throw it back to him and give him the nod. I know that Derek, his son, is doing the same sort of job at Hill Park High School for us as well. So again, the COVID world struck, and we had big plans to see what he could do, and here we are. We're still to see that come to fruition. Let's go, Laura. You're next. How did you end up? Because obviously we want to know how you ended up where you are. Go.
How long have you got from my volleyball history?
As long as you need. You got as long as you need.
Well, mine is actually almost the total opposite for Carly's. So I was, believe it or not, I was not picked for my height.
Awesome.
And I got introduced in primary 7 as well, but I just fell in love with it right away. My sister played, my sister's 1 year older than me. She started playing in high school, and for those who don't know my sister, she's like a once you're in, you're in 100% kind of person. So I think she'd been training in volleyball for 1 week, and she was like, I want a volleyball for my Christmas, and she was playing with me at the back garden, so she'd get extra reps in, and I obviously really enjoyed it, was getting kind of good at it, and being competitive. I quite like things that I'm good at. So so I got introduced to it in primary 7 all through high school, JNL, National League. I played from Division 3. I started playing in National League back when we had 3 women's divisions. So worked my way through the 3 women's divisions up to Division 1. And I played with the young seniors team as well, probably from maybe 14 or 15, and then started playing national team when I was 18.
Amazing. So, what high school did you go to?
Brannock High.
Brannock.
We were like a Stonelaw competitor. It was us, Stonelaw and Mar College are always the 3. I remember being in the semi-finals and the finals. It was a very strong but friendly contest, of course.
Yeah, Brannock had a very good volleyball pedigree back in the day. Yeah. Certainly in my playing days, there were some fierce competitors that came out of there. So big up Brannock. I could see Jen McConville's going, yes. We know that you do some good stuff in the school, so amazing. Now, Barry, I'm coming to you last because you're repping East Wren. That's where I came from. So let's rep it strong. Tell us how you ended up playing volleyball, a bit about your journey.
I actually was very similar to Carly. I really didn't enjoy it at first. It was my PE teacher. She actually played for Surigati. It was Claire Crow. I think both Laura and Carly played with her. So she was my teacher. She was like, oh, like, you should try this sport. You might quite like it. I did not like it. I could not volley. I still struggled to volley a little bit. But persevered, and then she suggested that I go along to the Surigati sessions because we had a very small school, so there wasn't enough people playing. So to develop, she suggested I go along to Sue, and still scarred in my brain was the first training session ever when Laura terrified me because I'd never played 6v6 volleyball before. We only had the numbers for 4v4, and Laura thought it was a great idea to continually hit the ball as hard as she could down the line on the 13-year-old me.
That doesn't
And
sound like me at all, Mary.
It was traumatising. And then after it, she just told me that you'll either quit or you'll get better. And it's honest, it's the best words. It's the most motivational words.
Wow. Oh.
Like 24-year-old me is very pleased. 12-year-old me is still crying in the car. So I came along, and then lo and behold, I wasn't put off after my first session, and then I just kept going. I timed my starting volleyball very well because I got introduced to the national team for the young seniors and also UK school games. So I was lucky enough to go to 3 UK school games, 2011, 2012 and 2013, and also 2 of the Junior European Championships as well in 2012 and 2014. So the experience of doing that was invaluable. We got to go to different countries, play against much better teams, go through those experiences that then when it came to the time I got into the senior national team, I felt like I was ready. I was definitely still terrified of them all, but I was very much ready to make the step up. And then I think I was 17, so it was just before my final year of school when I got my first cap, and then I haven't looked back since. Still enjoying it as much as I did. Still terrified of Laura.
Well,
You're painting such a bad picture of me.
We'll pick that one up later on. We'll see, Laura. We'll see how you can get your own back on, Barry. Here. I mean, three absolutely wonderful examples of how to get into volleyball, and interestingly enough, that 2 of you said that you felt it wasn't for you, and now you're at the top of the game. So congratulations to you guys for being so persistent, and Barry for not being a scared 13-year-old and walking away when Laura's handing it down the line at you. Fabulous. And Laura, well done. You know, you gave her some real good words of wisdom that have stuck with her.
Yeah.
And she's now, would you guys consider yourselves lifers? I have this phrase, you are a lifer in volleyball. Like, you know, there's 1 or 2 people that you'll play with and they'll stick around a couple of seasons. Do you guys see yourself as lifers, Laura?
Do you mean like once if I'm stopped playing?
Yeah.
Or do you mean, am I going to play until I die?
You're going to play until you're dragged off the court? I hope so.
Probably,
yeah. Yeah, like,
we've only got 2 years to go until we're officially volleyball veterans. By the way, I remember I saw a Facebook post years. It was good, maybe about 10 years ago now, and I remember thinking, oh, I'm nearly there in 10 years. And it was a veterans volleyball tournament, and it was for women. It started at 35, so 2 years to go.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry, Carl.
This year's been a bit mental. A lot of the guys that I'm playing with the vets team have started to hit 50. So yeah, I'm not naming names, Peter Campbell. But, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of us, it's a landmark year. They're all hitting 50. So you've got a long way to go, I think, on that front.
I hope so.
Yeah. Fabulous. Right, listen, let's get right down into it. So we've covered our sort of uni, our sort of school sort of stuff. How many of you played uni volleyball? Nobody?
Yeah, I played uni volleyball.
What am I talking about? You did a great job at Glasgow.
No, I loved uni volleyball. It was great. I only played maybe 2 years properly, so my second year and my final year of university. But my final year by far was the best year. We had Tom Rooney coaching us. We got to the Bucks final. We won the league. We won the Taxis Cup. It was the perfect year to finish university on. And then we ended up going to China to play on. I'm still not entirely sure why or how the university decided to send us to China, but they sent us to an all expenses paid trip to China to play some more volleyball. So it was amazing before COVID, obviously.
Right, listen, this interview is getting ridiculous. You're still playing volleyball. You're going to China. I'm worrying about what's going on over in your
I know.
mind.
I don't know how it's happened, but pretty lucky.
And finally, first caps. All right, Laura, we're coming at you because I think off my screen you're the senior player here.
Thanks.
50 caps is where we're at right now, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to say 51 or 52 because
52.
I think the first
So you're at
the first
50
game
mark.
in Luxembourg last year was my 50th, and then we played another 2
Yeah.
after that. So
Right. So take us back. Can you remember that first cap and how it felt?
oh, I can.
All right, talk to us about it.
Kelvin Hall,
Beautiful venue.
2006, 2005, 2006. I was 18 years old. Scotland were getting hammered every single game, I think. I don't think we'd won a set. And I stood in the corner, you know, clapping my hands and cheering everybody on.
Good teammate.
For like 3 games. And it got to the final game against Iceland, who had already won the tournament. I think we'd went unbeaten. And I think it got to the 3rd set. We were 2-0 down, and they subbed me on to serve. So I was probably, you know, getting all of this, shaking. It went in.
Yes.
And we ended up winning 3-2. I think I played out the rest of the set, and then I was maybe on again for the 4th set, but I came off for the 5th. But no, it was terrifying and yet thrilling, like at the same time.
Yeah.
And I still get that same butterfly. I always have the same feeling for the first 5-6 points of, I think, every single match I play, I've got proper butterflies. So it is still there, but you kind of learn to deal with it a wee bit better. You don't get the absolute shakes like I did on that day. But it was really special for me because it was home venue, you know, first cap. You know, a lot of my family got to see it. You know, probably didn't have as good streaming back then, so
No,
back in the day, didn't have the Wi-Fi.
There's probably a reel of film in the SVA archive of it somewhere, but yeah, that's magnificent. Really delighted that was your first experience. And of course, you get one better than Darren Martin, who told us on Tuesday his first cap experience was serving in the net. So
I heard, yes. I got
that, lucky mate. Carly, how about you? How was it for your first cap? What was it? What's your recollection of that moment?
Well, the thing is I don't entirely know when my first cap was, and it's not because I'm that old. It's just the first time I ever played in, I don't know if it was officially counted as a cap. Like, it was in Breda in Holland, and nobody's ever been able to tell me whether that was a tournament or not. I don't know. But regardless of that, I was absolutely petrified. I can be honest and say I can't remember anything about going on. I must have blanked out my memory. But I know I was terrified. I think I was probably terrified for the first 8 or 9 times I ever played with the national team. Like, honestly, like I used to just go, and I never used to feel like I would really perform at the level that I wanted to perform, if I'm honest. So it definitely took me a while to feel like I kind of settled into the squad and could actually show what I was capable of doing. But yeah, after that, my next main tournament was at the Novotel in Luxembourg, and I think it was like one of the first tournaments that Craig Fail took us to, and I remember getting told I was starting, and I was absolutely shocked. Like, that shows you my level of confidence in myself. I was like, what do you mean? So yeah, and again, I'm not sure it was our best tournament. I'm not sure if we won a set in that one either. So it's maybe not one to dwell on. But yeah, most of my first experiences, I was terrified, just to say the least.
Listen, it's the national team. It doesn't matter. We're talking about this, the pinnacle of our game. It's probably tough matches at that level anyway. But wow, it's funny that you're saying that you can't remember it. You were so shaken and buzzing. Barry, what about you? What's your recollections of first caps?
My first cap was actually in Scotland as well. It was
nice.
the Perth tournament in 2014. So big crowd, a lot of people, also terrifying, but amazing that my family got to be there. And I remember being subbed on. Actually, I think it was for you, Carly. Craig subbed me on, and the very first point, Joe Morgan, the setter at the time, dug the ball. So the ball was coming to me to set, and I was like, oh no, what do I do? And I just second ball attacked it over and somehow won the point. And that was my first ever. It was a big scoop. It was horrible. It should have been blown for a carry, but and it landed just on the cross between the 3-metre line and the outside line, and that was my first point. And I was very pleased with it now. Looking back on it, it was a good point to make, and I'll never try it again. So, I think one and done.
Did Did you not get carded in that first tournament as well, Barry? I'm pretty sure I remember that.
Oh, yes!
No,
Right,
it was
Carly,
Lindsay.
go on.
It was Lindsay Bunton. That's my defence right here. It was the final game of the tournament against Cyprus, and I was in the middle against what can only be described as the biggest human I've ever seen in my life. This girl was massive, and at the time I was 17. I was still a bit skinny, a bit scared, and she was just huge. And she kept hitting the ball past me, and I couldn't block her. And then Lindsay was like, come on, whispering in my ear, telling me I better get her blocked. And a couple of points later, it was a lovely block. It was a proper roof. And then I celebrated, but I didn't turn round. I just celebrated through the net. And Lindsay came right up behind me, and I can't repeat the exact words she said through the net, but she was like fist pumping through the net, and we got yellow carded for it.
Nice.
And it was worth it.
And you've been net
my
aggressive
first-
ever since, Barry, haven't you?
Net
yeah,
aggressive.
but
There's a phrase. There's
I've
a
never
great
been carded
phrase.
since. I've never been carded since, but I have been a little bit. Net aggressive is a very nice way to put it sometimes.
A beautiful phrase. We're going to coin that from now
Passionate.
on. Laura. Net aggressive. Wow. Every day's a school day. So you've never been carded ever since?
No, surprisingly not. I'm not. I celebrate very passionately, but now I've got used to it. Laura turns me round before I get too near the net.
Funny you should mention that, because again I did my research and we all know how you love a hands up
tree.
celebration.
Yeah, I do love a big tree celebration.
The YMCA celebration.
That's it.
Has it evolved?
I'm actually more of a, especially if I get a block these days, I seem to turn around and aggressively fist pump, which is not great for my shoulder, but looking back in some video from this season, it's been a lot of that and less of the tree, but maybe I'll need to bring back the tree.
A special mention tonight on the tree.
It's the ultimate celebration.
Yeah, I did have a look back through our archive of photographs, and through it, I mean, it's a range of trips that we've got you photographed in, so it's not like it's a one season wonder. It's a consistent element of your celebration, and I'm glad that we've managed to do some homage towards that.
Good.
So, what's the sort of driver for you guys in terms of being involved in a national team? What makes you make those sacrifices every year to continue to play? So, Laura, you're the longest standing member on the screen. What's your driver? What makes you tick?
I am super competitive, and I'm sure these two will vouch for that. Yeah, it's pretty much that. I think to be able to play for your country in your sport at that kind of level is probably the highest honour you could possibly have. And that was always my driver in volleyball. I loved it so much, and with my competitive nature, I just wanted to be the best player that I could be. And national team is definitely the outlet for that. The level that you get to play with the national team, both in training, with the other Scottish girls, and then when you go abroad or when teams come and visit you. It's the best level that you can get. From Scotland being a non-professional country, we don't have professional leagues here. So yeah, it's just to get to play and get to be the best. I just wanted to be the best player I could possibly be, and national team was the obvious route to be achieving that.
Yeah. Now, have you played abroad, Laura?
Yeah, just 1 year. Yep.
Just 1 year. How was that for you?
Interesting. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I grew a lot in that short time frame, as a person, as a player. Like what Vary was saying about me kind of terrifying her at a young age. You don't realise what that's like until you're on the other side of it. And
terrifying.
when I played with North Lanarkshire, when I played with Sue, I was, the uber competitive one. I was, aggressive. I hope I wasn't like mean or nasty to people, but I was definitely very competitive with my own teammates, and I would challenge them and always want the best out of them. Sometimes I would snap, sometimes I still do, But when I went to France, playing at that level, everyone was like that. Everyone was competitive, aggressive, challenging each other. And when I almost saw it was almost like looking in a mirror, like seeing that coming back on me. And I kind of maybe saw a side that I didn't really like. So, I was wondering what that wee banner was. So yeah, I think since I came back, I've mellowed a little bit. I've definitely tried to rein it in. The level was amazing. It was really good. I think it was N2, which is like the third or fourth division in France, but it was still really, really high level, probably similar to the level that you'd play kind of national team. Not necessarily people hitting the ball harder, but the game's a lot faster. A lot faster. The way the ball gets moved around the court, Barry will probably can agree to that. So yeah, I learned a lot about volleyball and about myself. And yeah, I decided just to do it for 1 year again, because I learned that I thought I was a bit of a loner and I'd be fine out by myself, but actually I just missed everybody back home. Yeah. So I went for the season, and then I happily came back to the loving arms of Surrogacy.
Barry, some of that stuff resonating with you at the moment. You listen to what Laura's saying about her time in France. How does that compare to your time?
It's pretty similar in a way, but I agree. Like the shock of the level and the speed of the ball is very, very different to what I was used to at home, and especially as a middle blocker, when the setters start setting the ball faster, that's an absolute nightmare for me. The first month or two in training last year in my first team was just trying to get used to that, and then obviously as well the mentality of not all the girls in my team are professional, but everyone is there to be best, everyone is there to move on, everyone is there to push each other, and it can be very intense, but it's also it's what I wanted at this point. It's why I felt that I needed to leave and go away and do it for a while. But I do get what Laura's saying. It can be quite overwhelming sometimes, but I mean the challenges that it comes with is at the moment I love it. At the moment I don't see myself coming home anytime soon from volleyball. Sorry, Dad, if you're watching.
I'm okay. Loving life out here. That's great insight. Obviously we've got lots of people that are firing questions up, but a lot of the stuff that they're learning from you guys just now is going to be new, and it'll be interesting for them to take that on and process. All three of you came from, all three of you at one point played at Ragazzi, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've now all had different coaching experiences through your life. So let's turn around and let's pay a little bit of homage to some of the coaches that you've had, and talk about the differences in styles that these coaches have had and how that's impacted you as players. So Carly, we'll start with you. You've already mentioned a good friend of mine and a good friend of Scottish volleyball, Simon Loftus. Let's just talk about some of the coaches you've had. So you've had Lofty. Who else have you had? TD?
So yeah, I've had Simon, Tommy, we've had Vince, we've had Craig Fail, we've had Mel and Lynn. So yeah, I've had like Connie, Danny, like all players, all coaches through the national team. So yeah, I've been coached by a kind of wide range of coaches. Yeah, and I think like I've taken different things from different coaches. Like some coaches, like Simon, I thought was an excellent coach. I mean, he used to absolutely terrify me at 17. Like he was scary, but he was excellent, and he was very technically minded, so competitive, so fiercely competitive. And we used to laugh because sometimes you would be 3 points into a game and you maybe the first 2 points you'd lost, and you'd be like tearing his hair out, like what? Like
the backward hand.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah, looking like he'd lost the whole league, like but no, I took so much from Simon, and I think actually like he was responsible for really like igniting that real kind of love and passion for the game. So I definitely learned so much from him, and and then going sort of the next main coach that I've had, you know, during the league has been Tommy, and yeah, I've learned so much from Tommy, and he's like one of these coaches that can just say one little thing to you, and it can just make a huge difference. Like he'll just say, you know, put your foot there, or just, you know, bend that knee, whatever it is, and you just do it and it works. So I think there's coaches like that can just, maybe it's just the relationship that you have or the way that you particularly respond to different coaches. Yeah. But I find that, you know, I've definitely had coaches that can just sort of spark that immediate change, and yeah. I've been pretty lucky. I've always got on well with my coaches, so can't complain.
Yeah, Vary, what about you? How's the change from Scottish coaches to the French coaches? Or there's me making a generalisation. Your coach may or may not be French. I don't know. Tell us.
So it's pretty much the same, just the language. I mean, I feel like I've had quite a range of coaches in Scotland, and I feel like going away, I can spot that I've had like the French version of someone else now, or the French version of so and so. Like it really is the characters, the different characters of coaches you get does stay somewhat similar. So it's been good. It's like same with Carly. I've not really had any negative experiences with coaches so far, which has been pretty lucky. But I think the coach that I'll have to say was the most influential for me definitely has to be Vince Krasic. He coached me from junior national team, then he came to Suragazi for 3 years, and then he was at the national team as well. And I think I really like working with Vince. I just think he's such a good coach. He knows when to scream at you and make sure you're working hard, but then he's also off the court. He's always been the coach to make sure to check in on you. I still get messages from Vince now in a way, checking in how I'm getting on, my progress and everything, and things like that. I just value very much in a coach that sees players for more than just players, sees them as people off the court as well. So I think that's very important. So I really like that in a coach, and he's not afraid to tell me when I'm being an absolute idiot and sub me off, which is pretty good.
One thing we know about Vince, he's the master of a substitution and a timeout. So
yes,
yeah,
very much so.
Yeah, excellent coach. We're delighted that we've still got him in the setup. Laura, what about you? How's your experience with the coaches? All positive?
Okay, I mean, you're going to have situations when a coach, you know, wants you to do something a certain way or wants to play a game a certain way. You're not going to agree with them, but me and Carly and Vi were talking about this earlier. You know, a coach has a vision, and it's, you know, the team's job to kind of play out that vision. And only when the team's all playing with the same, you know, hitting for the same drum beat that you progress. So sometimes you disagree with them, but you put your head down and you do it. And I think that's, you know, you try to be a good player and fit in that way. But my coaching history is probably very similar to Carly's. I think we've been playing together in Suragazi for a long time. So apart from maybe some kind of high school or junior coaches are different, but yeah, same. I would say hat tip to Tommy Downs and Vince for probably being the two kind of most recent and very influential players. Carly, you read my mind. I was thinking the exact same thing. I was just thinking about how technically Tommy's like the best coach I've had, and he would say to me like, oh, you know, just put your heel first, or, you know, think about doing this. And I mean, I remember one time he told me to bite the ball when I was hitting, and I looked at him like, sorry, what? And so the idea was, right, so you think that sounds, what, bite the ball? But the idea was that you're throwing your shoulders and your head up to the ball, so you're trying to bite the ball and then you hit it. And honestly, like, my hitting just went from, you know, 0 to hero like that in that day. So it's just weird things like that they change your volleyball life.
You've got all the phrases tonight. Net aggressive.
There you go. That's one for all the young ones out there. Bite the ball when you're hitting.
Awesome. We're doing some coaching tips as we go along. So we've covered a lot in this 40 minutes already. We've barely scratched the surface with you guys. What's been your favourite tour with the national team? Has there been one tour that stood out and you thought, you know what, that was absolute mint? Vary, go on. Any particular trip that you thought, aye, that was the business?
at senior level, it probably has to be the 2019 European Championships in Luxembourg, because we got a silver medal there. Still quite painful that we lost in the final, but the volleyball we played up to that point was just some absolutely great volleyball. I just loved the whole atmosphere within the team. We gave that game against the Faroe Islands. I go back and I've actually watched it a couple of times since, because it just the feeling on court that we all had, like you can see from a lot of the pictures that we've got, the celebrations, everyone is just going crazy. And then you just see Laura trying to bring everyone back down and keep us all nice and calm for the next point. And that entire tournament was just fantastic. I'm still devastated that we came away with the silver and not the gold. But if I don't think about that match too much, that's definitely one of my favourite senior trips for sure.
Carly, what about you? You're nodding your head there.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favourite. Like, just we had a really good team environment, and just the actual energy on the court and everything was just brilliant. And just a wee shout out to Barry, she actually won best blocker and MVP at that tournament, so it was an extra good tournament.
Quite a good.
So yeah, that was definitely one of my favourites. And I think before that, I loved the Liechtenstein tournament as well, which was like the first tournament that the women's team had ever won silver, and that was an excellent experience as well, and an absolutely beautiful place that we were in. It was like something at the Sound of Music. You were outside of this.
It really was.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a really, really special tournament for me as well. And otherwise, actually playing at home at Perth, we got to play. That was one of my sort of first CEV tournaments. Was playing at Perth in front of a home crowd, and that was just like unbelievable. Yeah,
that's it. I mean, playing at home special. Laura, what about you?
I initially thought of 2019, but again, then I went to Perth, and I'm hoping I've got my history right here, but the thing I remember about Perth, we still had Craig Vail as a coach, and he had this, it was like a 10-year long vision. He called it Going for Gold in 2020, and he had all these markers of, where he wanted us to get to, and it was, the qualifying and then the bronze and the qualifying and the silver and so on and so forth. And up until Craig Vail took over, the women's team wasn't very successful. We would maybe you always get the feeling that we went to a tournament and didn't believe that we would make a dent anywhere. You always try, but I think mentally we just didn't have that strength and that belief in ourselves. And for Perth, for me, was the total turning point. We had qualified for the finals before we'd played our final game. And I think as a team, as a national team of Scotland for the women, that was an absolute turning point. And ever since that tournament, we have went into these competitions with that belief, with that mentality, with the plan of we're going for gold here every year now. And I think that's built from that tournament. So that for me was a huge kind of historical moment for me for the women's national team.
What an awesome reflection. I mean, I've been able to pinpoint it to that tournament, Laura.
I'm sure it was.
Amazing. I mean, obviously, you've got some really fond memories of that. Let's just dig a little bit into the pre-match prep. So, not to give too much away for any of the opposition, but what's it like in the changing room with you guys before the first game of a tournament? Who's got the banter? Who's got the tunes? Who's sitting in the corner quietly contemplating? Who's just getting in and around doing their taping? And what's it like? Who wants to spill? Who wants to dish the dirt on the changing room? As in, your face lit up like Christmas there.
It's the tunes. That's definitely one of my main roles within the national team, is making sure that I've always got my speakers with me. It's very important, but it also means that I always ask any of the girls who wants what music on the playlist, and a lot of the time, some of them, especially the younger ones now, I'll have to shout out Nicole Ramage here, who sometimes suggests some god awful music, and I have to tell her no. I tell her it's on the playlist, but I don't put it in. A full confession here. I'm sorry, Lauren. But sometimes she suggests some great things, and then other times she wants something it's just not going to work. So,
I mean, is that one when your Spotify doesn't work?
Oh no, it's in the playlist. It's on shuffle. It will come on eventually. never comes on.
Brilliant.
So, and then I do subject the girls to quite a lot of ABBA. I'll admit I'm very guilty of that, but I mean, you need to listen to Dancing Queen at least once before each match, and I think you're pretty much set and ready to go. So,
All right.
sorry guys, it's the good of the team.
Laura, does Dancing Queen get you pumped up
No.
for? No, right, okay.
No, I'm not the ABBA fan. But I
what's
love that
the-
so much
what's the
that
jam?
I'm happy for her to play it as many times as she wants. Whatever she
Thank you,
needs.
Laura. I always put your songs in the playlist, don't worry. Miley Cyrus and AC/DC.
AC/DC, yes.
I've got you.
That's true.
Yeah. What else is going on then? You know, Vazza's got the tunes, you're all pumping. Is there anybody that's doing anything that's a wee bit out there? Anybody get any superstitions or, you know, left knee pad on first, right knee pad on? Is there anybody in the team like that?
We've got a couple of lucky pants, I think. We've got some lucky bits of clothing, socks and things like that people like to wear, like to put on. I don't think I've got any superstitions. I think I was very, very careful never to make a superstition from a young age because I knew that would be stuck with me, you know, for life.
Yeah.
So I've managed to steer clear personally.
Okay. And then in terms of the characters in there, I've got three big ones here, but what's the rest of the squad like in terms of personality coming through in those moments before you're about to get your pep talk? Is there giggles? Is there laughter? What's it like, Carly? Come on, what's your reflections of the changing room?
Yeah, there's definitely, like, especially if there's good music on, people are laughing, people are kind of getting pumped up. Like, there's definitely people who are maybe a bit more, like, you know, you can tell they're trying to get in that zone, get kind of focused. But no, I think generally it's usually quite a good atmosphere, good vibes. People are kind of, you know, like, just getting on that level where everyone's sort of like at the right energy level. I think that's usually what we're trying to do. So no, it's usually a good vibes, definitely.
Good. I wouldn't have been doing my job if I didn't ask. Flower of Scotland, what does it mean when it comes on?
So good. I love it. I just love it. Laura has to stand in front of me a lot of the times when we sing Flower
I've
of
been loving it a
Scotland.
lot more recently when I get to hear Barry's beautiful voice in my ear. She's got the voice of an angel, man. She's beautiful.
Yeah, and have we got some good chanters in the women's team? Some good singers.
Definitely not me. That's a given.
Yeah, I'm not great either, but I feel like we do all right. I feel like we do okay.
Our volume is always right up there. Like we go up there, we don't care. We just belt it out, man.
What we lack in talent, we make up for in passion. 100%.
Just general volume.
I have to tell you guys, the most nerve-wracking thing that I've ever experienced was playing the national anthems at the Scotland-England game at Perth College. You can do a lot of things wrong at a tournament, but you cannot mess up the national anthem. And I've never been sweating buckets like it in my whole entire presenting career. But were you guys at a tournament where the national anthem didn't play and you just rocked it out?
I think it was
Liechtenstein.
I'm sure it was a Liechtenstein trip.
Right now, probably one of my most favourite moments from our women's team. It's the most proudest I've ever been. How was that?
Yeah, that was really good. I remember that well. That was really good, and everybody just sort of totally went for it. Everybody just like.
I don't think we noticed no music because we just deafen each other with our own voices. Kept going.
Yeah, that for me was an absolute beast of a standout moment for your programme, and life's different from when I played to now. Like we were live streaming every match, so we're getting to see that. And when you're sitting at home on the iPad or on the telly watching you guys belt it out, it's absolutely phenomenal. So kudos to you guys, even if you do have a questionable singing voice. We were delighted with your rendition. There's Caroline Hurley saying she was at the tournament. Oh dear. Yes, we'll discuss that maybe later on.
No.
So we've had really good experiences of it. Your teammates. Who's got any nicknames that we need to know about? Any nicknames?
I just like to shorten everybody's name.
Right.
Like if it's too long, like even like Nicole, I like to short to Nick.
Right.
Vaza, Vari Ferrari, or Vaza.
Oh God,
I get called Edie McCready by Bunton.
He did.
she does call you
Out
that.
of Ballamore, she used to just call me Edie, or just she just shortened it to Edie, and I just used to start answering Edie. But since she left, it's kind of died away. But
Yeah, and I'll make some kind of reference to Claire Ramage about her feet, flippers or Bigfoot, something like that. It changes. It's not consistent, but she doesn't get called by her own name. She gets called by something to do with her. Not even that long feet.
Right, so we asked the gents on Tuesday about on tour roommates. Who's your favourite? Who's your go-to? And who's been a nightmare? So, Carly, you're up first. Good or bad? Who's your roommate?
So I've actually roomed with Laura and Barry. Most recently, me and Laura have been rooming together, and we've been loving it. I think we're equally as messy as each other, so that's always good to just sort of, you're not annoying somebody with all your shit everywhere. Excuse me. So yeah, we always got on pretty well. And prior to that, I used to always get roomed with Lindsay Bunton, and we always had a really good laugh. And Lindsay would protect me as well, because we did have what we thought was an intruder one night into our room when we were in Liechtenstein. We had an adjoining room with Kirsty McLean and Alex. In the middle of the night, I think Alex was snoring, so Kirsty decided to come and sleep on our sofa bed, and Lindsay woke up with Kirsty leaning over our bed. I nearly attacked her. I actually slept through it all, which shows you how safe I felt just having Lindsay as a roommate. I was asleep. But no, me and Lindsay always had a good time, had a good laugh.
Amazing story. Amazing. Laura, what about you? Good or bad roommates? Any experience of that?
I've not had any bad roommates. I've been sort of so many tournaments. I've probably had a room with everybody at some point, but I feel bad because I've also got a Lindsay Bunton story. So it was back when I hadn't been with the national team that long. I was maybe only like 19, 20 or something like that. And I only had experienced Lindsay Bunton through the net, playing when she was playing with Trin. And, I thought I was quite an aggressive and competitive person. And then, I was shown that I was timid by Lindsay. And so I didn't know Lindsay that well as a person. And I got roomed with her, and I was terrified, to be honest with you. And I've told her this story since, and she thought it was hilarious. So we had obviously what travelling is like with your national team, and you're on flights, off flights, adjoining flights, buses. The time you get to the hotel, you're absolutely cream crackered, but the coach wants a training session or a meeting with you after half an hour, right? So we got in, she just dumped her bags down, she's like, I'm just going to have a quick nap, I'll set my alarm or something, and we'll go in 20 minutes. So she absolutely fell right asleep. She was out for the count. And it got to like 5 minutes before the meeting, and she was still totally asleep. And I thought, I'm going to have to wake her up. Oh my God. It's like waking a sleeping bear. Oh, I was absolutely terrified. So I was like literally standing at the bottom of her bed, just like tapping her foot, like really gently, like, Lindsay. Because I thought, I don't want to scare her, like for the reason that Carly said, don't stand over Lindsay and get a fright. So I'm like, Lindsay, trying to wake her up. And she was fine. She got up and we went to the meeting, and it was all good. And I learned to absolutely love her after that trip when I got to know her. She's one of my favourite people. So, but no, that's probably one of my funny moments from rooming with somebody that I was absolutely terrified of.
Brilliant. Barry, what about you? You get any good or bad experiences of roommates?
Not any bad roommates. I've been pretty lucky, but most recently for the last couple of trips I've roomed with Elaine Kazik, which has been good. She puts up with me listening to my questionable music taste, which is always good. But we did end the last tournament on an argument because she found out that I'd eaten the last of her sweets, but I'd left one in the bag. So there was just enough, so I hadn't finished them. But this was over the course of 5 days, and I don't think she touched them. And the last day of the tournament, she went to get her sweets, and there was just one left in the bag, and it's been a year and a half, and she still brings it up. So
no wonder.
I think she's not got over it. And then prior to that, I used to share with Catherine quite a few times, and she was a very chilled out roommate. She was very keen for naps, and would make me watch the documentary, which I remember she made me watch that Blackfish documentary, which is about SeaWorld. And honestly, to this day, still love it, still recommend it to so many people. So she was
Changed your life.
If you've not watched it, you have to watch it. It's so interesting. So she was a pretty chilled out roommate, but she actually took over the music, and it was a lot of country, which is okay at times, but maybe not all the time. Maybe not all the time.
I've got a newfound appreciation for a bit of country music. I don't know what it is.
It's good. Sometimes it was hard to nap to because it made me feel a bit too happy to nap. So there's that. Yeah, she was a good roommate.
All right. Okay. So a lot of love for our teammates. A lot of love for them. Is there anybody that's grumpy? Anybody that you know, no matter how good a mood you're in, they're going to be grumpy? Nobody.
I think there's zero women on the team that are morning people. But once we've had our breakfast, good to go.
Yeah.
Here's a bit of a question. I was never got around to asking the guys this, so we'll ask you guys. It'll be interesting. From your playing days, who's the player that you always wanted to play with, or if you could bring them back and play with them currently, who would it be? Laura, it's a difficult one for you because you've seen a lot of players through the programme. Anybody that you would say, oh man, I would love to play just 5 more minutes with that person on the court, or this is the teammate that I look forward to playing with the most. So, Barry, we'll go with you first, and that gives Laura some thinking time on this bad boy.
It depends. It would be, there's players that I love to play with, but for different reasons. Like, I think for me, a great person that I miss having in the national team is definitely Kirsty. She's just such a fun person to be around. She brings a good energy, and you can always rely on her for something entertaining to happen with her or to her. And then you're always kept very well entertained by her. So I definitely miss playing national team with her, and I was very lucky to play all my years of Sue with Kirsty. So I do miss playing with her for that reason. But then probably playing with players was great, but it was more, I got more excited about being at national team to get to train against the other girls. Like I remember when Lynn Beattie first came back and was back playing in the national team, and I was so excited to be on the other side of the court from her because I was like, I'm going to block her. That's my only goal for the day. 16-year-old me was like, yeah, I'm going to block the Olympic captain. And she hit me in the face one time, and I quickly realised I preferred being on the same side as her. But there was things like that. But I don't know, it's a hard question because there's so many players that I've loved playing with for different reasons. There's players that I like, some setters because they set middle more. I like some people just because they're a good person to have around. So it's quite a difficult question.
Yeah. Carly, what about you?
Yeah, it's a hard one. Like I've played with so many players that like I've really loved playing with, and in terms of the national team, I've been lucky that we get to play with a lot of my Sue teammates as well. Like that's been a huge thing, definitely for the sort of dynamic and stuff like that. I think that's been great. One player I think I definitely miss in the national team setup is Jo Morgan. I always love playing with Jo. She's somebody who just brings so much energy to everything. She's fiercely competitive. She absolutely hates to lose, but she's one of the people that if you do something well, she celebrates as though she's done it herself. You know, she's so excited for it. She's like, yeah, that was brilliant. And you know, definitely somebody who always like brings a lot to the game. And I'll never forget, I think we were in Luxembourg one year, and I was on a service run, I think against Northern Ireland or one of the Irish teams, and I'd been on quite a long run, and they subbed somebody off and subbed this quite young girl on, and Jo just turned around to me and she said, Carly, make that girl cry. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's so Jo.
I know, and it was the most Jo thing to ever be said. And I think I served like 2 balls on this poor girl. I think one hit her in the face and she got subbed off. And Jo just turned around and was like, well done. And I was like, okay, I've done my job. But yeah, I really miss Jo's energy, definitely, in the team.
Yeah.
I love
I love
playing.
that story. I love that story. That's amazing. Laura, what about you? Now, this is probably a really hard question for you because you've had maybe a wider range of scope of players to talk about. So, what have these guys brought you in terms of thinking time?
Well, I think me and Carly have been playing too long together, because I was just thinking I'd love for Jo Mo to be back. Just like she said, she's one of the most tenacious, fierce people I've ever met. She's fantastic in her approach to everything. The preparation she puts in before games. She studies, all the tactics and her players, and she feeds it back to you. And she's just so quick mentally, physically, like everything. She's fantastic. But if I had to go with someone from the past, I only got to play with this person for about half a season, maybe. Towards the very, very, very end of their career, but I think I would have loved to have played with them in their heyday, and that's Sandra Grubb. I never got to see her play very much again. I was pretty young, but I think she's just got such a legendary history that I've just heard so much about how fierce a player that she was, that I think I would have loved to have seen that in real life.
I was at Surrogacy when she was playing, and yes, it was very much as you've described. Very, very intense, very aggressive, but an amazing player. So what a great shout! Vary, I hope you're ready for this. Blair's in the background. He's going to bring up Caroline Hurley's question for you. Let's see if we can bring that up. She wants to know, how are you finding the French lifestyle, and what inspires your current sock selection?
Yes, good question. The French lifestyle just now is pretty similar to what I like at home, because you're not actually doing anything other than volleyballing back. But I enjoy it. The food's good. The atmosphere is quite relaxed. People work to live here rather than live to work, which is quite a nice vibe, which I really enjoy that. So that's good. And my sock selection, just depends what mood I'm in that day. But everyone knows that if I turn up to training in white socks, I've had a really bad day and I'm just not in the mood. So it's a very rare occasion. But if I've got white socks on, someone needs to buy me some chocolate or something like that, because I'm clearly not in a good mood. But for me now, it's just it started off with just some quirky socks, and now my goal is to find the ugliest socks possible and wear them. And my teammates this year have done a pretty good job. Each training session, they seem to give me a new pair of socks. I have ones with my cat's faces on them now. I have one pair with my face on them, which I think might be the ugliest pair that I own. And so I just really love terrible socks. It just makes something a bit more exciting.
Well, I mean, there you go, Carly, Laura. If you ever have to get as a secret Santa, you know exactly what you're doing.
Oh, trust me, I did a Snapchat, speak clear. Socks, like.
Laura gets the updates.
The bit that we don't get is the dedicated channel of Harry's socks. Come on. Instagram, what have you been doing for us? Amazing. We've got a question from Jen McConville. So here's, interesting one for us right now. How you guys feel you're going to go about preparing mentally for when volleyball returns after such a long time off? Jen, it's a hard-hitting question. We need you guys to put your answer and thoughts on this. Laura, you go with this and see what you're coming up with on it.
I've got another phrase. I think it's going to be like putting on an old slipper, to be honest with you. I think I'm just going to slot right back into it comfortably, no problem. It'll be the physical side for me. Being that bit older and like I say, having this kind of roller coaster of fitness over lockdown, I wouldn't say I was physically 100% ready to go back and play a game of volleyball tomorrow. So for me, I suppose mentally wise, it would be having the motivation to kickstart that and get that back up and running again. but I'm quite externally motivated. So, you know, if I had a date of, right, volleyball's going to be back, you know, 5th of June, you know, that would be me. I would have that target and off I would go. But I think it's just the unknown just now. So I think maybe from that point of view, then mentally, I need an end point. I need a goal in sight. I need a date.
Yeah.
And then I'll be good to go.
Carly, you said that at the top of the show, at the top of the broadcast, that it was the missing the routine. So for you, what's that going to look like, and how do you think you're going to be able to prepare for it?
Yeah, I think I definitely think it'll be hard, but I think I'll be so excited to actually go. Like, I've never thought I'd be so excited to go back to Coatbridge High School. I never I thought, you know, I never thought I would really miss these places like I have. But yeah, I think I'll be so excited for it. I am, like, you know, sometimes when you have a week or two off of volleyball and you come back and you feel like you've never volleyed a ball in your life, I'm slightly concerned about that side of it. But no, I think it will just be getting back into that routine. I've already, from doing some sort of like fitness and stuff like that, I've already started, like, you know, doing it at set times during the week and things like that, and that's been good for me just to have that routine because I'm so used to it. So I don't see that side of it being difficult. But I think just physically, like, I just feel like nothing that you can do fitness wise compares to actually a football training session or a volleyball match. You can never seem to engage those muscles that you use. So I think physically, like, being a wee bit older, it's going to be a bit trickier, but I think I'll just run on adrenaline for a few weeks at least.
Yeah, I mean,
Dolphins.
and I guess Mari, it's a bit different for you. You're already there. You're in that headspace. Mentally, you're able to adapt to this new world. What tips could you give these guys for when that day does come?
Be prepared to not know how to volley. It took me the first 3 weeks. After my first week of training, I was on the phone to Claire, and I was honestly nearly in tears because I was like, I can't volley anymore. I was like, every ball I touched was just a double touch, and I was like, I'll never volley again, and it was fine, and it was absolutely fine. So and then once I remembered how much fun it was, because our first 2 weeks we weren't allowed to jump. It was just like slow reintegration, no jumping, no hitting. And I'm a middle blocker, so all I do is jump and hit.
Yeah.
So that after we got past that phase of getting back into it, it was like use Laura's phrase, like putting on an old slipper. It was very comfortable and very, very normal.
Good. Well, I think what we are hoping to do on this channel is try and bring on later in our next SVTV series is bring on Kenny Watt and some S&C advice for our athletes. So that message of, you know, don't expect to go back out full tilt jumping is one that we should be embracing across our volleyball community. So that's a very nice insight that you've brought to us, Barry. So thanks for that one. Question from Aileen Hall, and this is going to be an interesting one for you guys in terms of you guys being role models. So if we can bring up Aileen's question, which is, what would you say to younger players that you wish you could say to your younger self to take forward in their volleyball journey? Oh, man alive. So what would you say to younger players that you wish that you could say to your younger self to take them forward on their volleyball journey? Laura, remember I told you I'd throw you under the bus at one point. Here it is.
I think it would probably be trying to put into words about, for me, I had a time around about my early 20s when, you know, kind of going from, you know, playing at Division 3, Division 2 into that Division 1 level, taking a step into national team and being a regular, you know, starter. And I had a phase, like I say, maybe a season or two where I wasn't performing great, and I think I was, you know, just in my head all the time, trying to think about things too much. Nothing was really coming naturally, but I think I was trying to learn, you know, new you know, tactics and you know, technical things about the way I was hitting and the way I was passing, and it was quite overwhelming. And I think there's people who would probably get to that stage at that age or earlier who would probably, there's times I'd go home for training and just be like, what's the point? Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm terrible, I'm rubbish, and you were almost ready to give up, and I didn't. And I think, looking back at that time now, a lot of the things that were said to me then, I totally get now, being the kind of more experienced players. And I think the best thing I could say is that however difficult it gets, however challenging it is, how much you're struggling, like, just push through and keep working hard. And you'll come out the other side and you'll be a better player for it, you'll be a stronger player for it, probably a better and stronger person for it. And volleyball's amazing, and just don't ever give it up, no matter how hard it is. I could probably, if I had more time, I could verbalise that a bit more eloquently, but I think you got the gist of what I'm trying to say is...
Yeah. What about you, Carly? What would you say to yourself, or even a message to the younger players? Because obviously we've got a lot of pathway players who are probably watching this, missing volleyball just as much as everybody. So what was your sort of thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think kind of picking up a wee bit on what Laura was saying, like, I think use any setbacks as a driver, as a motivation. Like, there's going to be times where you get negative feedback from a coach, or times where you're not selected for a squad, or times where you're put on the bench and you don't get a shot to play. But see if you can turn those situations into motivation, and turn them and saying, well, you've not picked me this time, but I'm going to show you why you should have picked me, or learning how to stay focused on a bench. Like, all of these things are things that are going to do you, like, stand you in good stead in the long run. So I think, like, being able to use those setbacks to not get discouraged and not think, oh well, that's it, it's over, I'm never going to make it, I'm never going to get to play. Like, no, actually, you need to keep working, and need to, sometimes in a coaching setup, you just need to show that you want it enough. And once you get to that point that you're established yourself as, I'm going to work as hard as possible, then sometimes other things, don't stand in your way anymore. I was never the tallest player. I'm probably one of the smallest middles there ever was. But and so, like, in a lot of regards, I would never have been considered to be in the national team, but I kept working hard, and that's what got me there. And I think the other thing is that sometimes also, like, figure out what it takes to motivate the rest of your team. So, if you can be a player that actually gets the best out of other players around you, then you're always going to be, like, somebody who's going to be on that team. So if you can learn how to G somebody up, or how to, have a quiet talk with somebody before a game to get their confidence up, or, give somebody a kick up the backside when they need it. Like, if you can learn to be that player who can get the best out of other players, then yeah, you're gonna be invaluable.
I mean, amazing stuff. Barry, what about you?
You guys have covered the best stuff, so now I'm left. I've got no advice left. Probably a very important thing I would say is, don't let yourself get pigeonholed in a position too early. Just because you're a middle blocker doesn't mean you shouldn't focus on how to have to set the ball, or playing some backcourt. Like, or if you're a setter, you should know how to hit the ball. Don't let yourself get pigeonholed too early, because you need to develop into a full, well-rounded player, and then you can play any position. Because especially for me, when I was younger, I was told, you're tall, you'll be a middle blocker. And then it ended up, I got to 16 and I was useless backcourt. I couldn't, whenever I had to serve and come on, I just couldn't defend, and it just wasn't, I was losing the team points, and it was demoralising for me. So definitely make sure that you, just because you play a certain position, make sure you still focus on the other attributes of other things, because coaches and teams need well-rounded players, not just a person that can come on and block 10 balls and then lose a free ball in the backcourt. That just won't work. So definitely focus on that. And also, like the other two said, don't let your setbacks knock you down for too long. Use them to drive you forward, and use it as a motivation to achieve whatever you want to achieve. Just because someone else tells you can't do it, you definitely can, and it'll be even more sweet when you prove that you've done it and they said you couldn't. So yeah, definitely use that.
Amazing. I mean, we're looking at that and thinking about some of the coaching stuff that I've worked with over the last couple of months on it, and it's all really good, strong messages. So delighted that you guys have done that right there. There's a couple of wee questions that are coming in. If we can have Ali Duncan's question, Blair. I've lost it in the feed. Gone crazy. Barry, this one's for you. Who in volleyball inspires you and why? You guys, you may answer this one as well, but Barry, this one's directed straight at you from Ali. Hey Ali, hope you're watching.
At the probably, to be honest, definitely when I was younger, when I was first starting, it was probably Laura, and she'll hit even more of a beamer now. But it was definitely a player like Laura, because she was, I know I said earlier that she terrified me, but it was a good kind of fear, like, oh God, she's scary. I want to be like her. And I just wanted to be that player that was the big hard hitter, that was really confident on the court, that led the team. So yeah, I'll stick with Laura.
Are you feeling the love, Laura?
I am.
Carly, we'll come to you with that one. What about you? Have you insight into your psyche with for Ali Duncan? Who inspires you?
Yeah, like I feel like I've been inspired by lots of different players, and like often inspired by my teammates and like, you know, what they've gone on to achieve. I always definitely, like, even before I got the chance to play with her, like I was always really inspired by what Lynn Beattie had done and what she'd achieved, and, you know, becoming the Olympic team captain and playing professionally, and now she's gone on and done everything really to the beach as well. Like I think, you know, that's somebody who's just an absolute drive and an absolute passion, and obviously so much talent as well. So that was nice for somebody that, you know, was an inspiration to then get a chance to actually play alongside. That was a real highlight as well.
Fabulous. I mean, there's a lot of love in the room. Laura, what about you?
I would probably say the women's GB team, when they were formed and how they competed in that tournament. You know, when you think about what a lot of them did, you know, they upped their life, they moved down to Sheffield, you know, they moved unis, or they moved jobs, or, you know, that complete lifestyle change that they took on for that 3 or 4 years. I think I appreciated it even more when I went away, and that was actually the point for me. I remember sitting, this is going to be terrible now, but was it Serbia they played when they won 3-2? Am I making that up?
Algeria, I think.
Algeria.
Yeah.
I remember sitting up, it was way past midnight, watching the Algeria game, and I think I was up for an early shift, like at 4 o'clock the next morning or something, but I was just glued, me and my mum were just glued to the telly watching the game, and that was the point when I was like, I want to do that, I want to play pro, I want to play at that kind of level, and I had messaged or emailed Lynn Beattie after the Olympics and everything was over, and was like, how do I do this, how do I play pro? So yeah, I would probably say that inspired me quite a lot.
Well, fantastic examples here. We've got a nice little message coming from Edina Simons, all the way from Kenya. Obviously a former pro, and she's been tuning in the last couple of nights, and she's really delighted to see you guys loving the boldness, and you have a support as a woman, and keep that spirit, keep the ball flying high. So that's great. Thank you for that comment, for all the way from Kenya. And there's a friend of the programme. Hello, Connie. Obviously the girls in Scottish volleyball miss you, so exceptional women and athletes you all are. You're getting quite a lot of love on the comments. There's one that's came in, Carly Murray, and I'm coming at you because Caitlin McEwen has put this up, and I think it was in and around what you would say to yourself, Carly Murray. Listen, don't listen. You want to tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, so it's a bit of advice I've given to players in the past if they've maybe been feeling frustrated with coaches and feeling a wee bit like that, maybe a wee bit demotivated if they've not felt they've got the right advice from coaches. So sometimes I've told them it's more in a game setting, because you know what it can be like with some coaches. They can get really passionate about things, and they can go on and on and on. And so my advice to some of the players has been, listen and don't listen. So, listen and take on whatever tactical information and what else, but see if there's things that aren't helpful to you. Just block that out. But yeah, I don't know if any of the other coaches that I work with know I tell people this, but
You've been outed.
that has been my advice to players in the past, and I do think it's valid, because especially in that game environment when it's dead tense and like emotions are running high, like sometimes the wrong things that a coach says to you can have a completely negative impact on players. So yeah, listen, don't listen.
All right, Barry, this one's coming at you, and I don't know how we're going to ask it, but we're going to do it. Callum Johnson's wanting to know this: would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 10 duck-sized horses?
Ooh, one horse-sized duck, because I really don't like horses. They scare me. So 10 of them, even if they're small, no. One horse-sized duck, it'd be quite cool. Smaller ones than me.
Callum, I hope that's satisfied your curiosity there on that front. We can't control the comments that come in. We just have to roll with the punches as we go here on SVTV. Caitlin thinks that's a mad answer. So
I agree.
It doesn't
Imagine the size of that beak.
I know that thing could do some serious damage.
Yeah.
I really, really don't like horses. They really freak me out. Just one of them, never mind 10, even if they're small. Ugh.
Yeah. I've definitely been given that advice from Callie before. I hope, Vince, I hope you're watching. I hope you're listening.
Sorry, Vince.
Sorry, Vince. Listen, there's a couple of bits and pieces for me that I know that we're racking through some comments, and there's a lot of people that are loving what we're doing here. So we're at 1 hour and 22. Are you guys okay to stay on with us? I know, Laura, it flies by when we're having such a good chat. Barry, are you an hour ahead?
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry.
You're okay, right? Cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that we take for granted is the length of our career. Are you conscious about looking over your shoulder at people coming behind you? Laura, you've been doing it the longest, and
Always.
you're showing up some people, but what's your thoughts on that about the production line of young juniors that are coming in? We've seen Emma Waldy there, listening to Carly's listen, don't listen chat, but what's your thoughts on that?
I think when I was younger, it would maybe scare me. Pre-30s. It was definitely the look over the shoulder of, oh my gosh, like I'm going to get booted off, and maybe going back, then maybe this is going to be the final nail in the coffin for me. Maybe that's a terrible phrase to use, isn't it? But do you know what I mean? Like going back from post-COVID, I'm maybe more aware of it now, I suppose, because being older, how am I going to adjust to going back, and having not played in so long, is my body going to manage it? Am I going to be able to push my body back to manage it? But over the past few years, I have very much been, or try. I hope I've been very much trying to encourage a lot of the younger players, and try to do almost some sort of on-court coaching and mentoring, and trying to pass on some wisdom, some knowledge. Maybe it's absolute rubbish, I don't know, but I do genuinely try. I want the youth of Scottish volleyball to be amazing, and get the best experiences out of it, to become the best that they can possibly be, and I'm 100% all for that. And I kind of look forward to the day when that there's a player that's going to take my place, and I get to watch them grow and blossom and become even better than me, hopefully. You know what I mean? Like that's the way you always want, like people to just get better and better and better in the sport all the time. I didn't mean that to sound as if I was like amazing. Oh my god, they're gonna be better than me. I didn't mean that. I genuinely mean like you just want Scottish volleyball and players to just be constantly improving and getting better and better and better and better. We got close to potentially competing at a higher level in Europe. One year, you know, we're obviously just in this kind of small nations tournament just now, but imagine how amazing it would be to have a national team that could compete with, you know, your Frances and Germanys and Spain and, you know, these big countries. I would love to see that one day, so I absolutely welcome it, encourage it, and keep my fingers crossed for it, to be honest with you.
Well, Laura, don't you worry. If you ever decide to hang up those knee pads, I will be chapping your door immediately to see about the step from the court to the sideline, because what you're saying there is everything that we are thinking about in terms of a governing body, in terms of planting trees for the shade that we'll never sit under. And I will definitely hunt you down and call you on this video and say, right, now come help. Let's make those strong, powerful players that we can elevate our game to. So, Aileen wants to know, do you want to go into coaching after playing, Laura?
Yes. So for me, like, I am 100%, I would love to do it. I really enjoy, you know, the coaching mentoring aspect of, you know, but still being a player. Carly and I have discussed this a few times probably, and maybe with Barry as well, but for me it's the commitment of a coach. I think, you know, you think you're committed as a player and you give all this time to volleyball, but a coach is like so much more. You know, if I, you know, the Sue girls will attest to this, if there was, you know, a few nights, you know, the last few seasons where I wasn't up for training, I wouldn't go. Naughty me. But as a coach, you can't just be like, oh, I don't feel like it, I'm not going to go. If the coach doesn't go, you know, the session does not run anywhere near the way it should. The coach is so important, so integral. So I think the only holdback for me to fully commit to it is, you know, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly. And do I want to fully commit all that time to it? I would say yes, but it's huge. Like I say, it's more than a player does. So, I would like to do it. Yes, at the moment, but we'll, you know, I kind of plan my life one day at a time. To be honest with you, I don't look too far in the future, so I wouldn't commit to it now because I don't know, you know, what the next 3, 4, 5 years hold for me. So at the moment, I would say yes. I would like to do it. Yes.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll still hunt you down. I'll find you. Carly, what about you and that initial chat about players coming up behind you? What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I don't think I ever look at it as in like I'm looking over my shoulder or anything like that. I'm always like Laura, like I'm quite excited by the young players that are coming through, and particularly in the national team the last few years, like with the exception of myself and Laura and maybe one or two others, it's been a really young team, and that's to me just really exciting. And I think you know, and it's also good as well because, you know, if you are playing with a lot of younger players that have a lot of energy, like you need to keep up with them. You can't be slacking. So, you know, I think in terms of trying to keep you still playing, being fit and strong and jumping high and all these kind of things that, you know, just become a wee bit more, you have to focus on a wee bit more, like the older that you get, then I think playing with younger players is great and it's a real benefit. So yeah, I just have got excitement for the future of Scottish volleyball, and you know, hope I can play for as long as I can, but I know that there's a lot of good players behind me, so I'm not worried about it.
All right. And do you think you'll pick up the clipboard at one point?
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, I definitely think I'd like to, but like Laura, like I see it as a big commitment, and I don't think it's something that I could do by half. I couldn't just be, you know, a coach that dips in and dips out. Like if I was going to do it, I'd be doing it properly. So I don't see me doing it until I stop playing, until I feel like I have that time in my life that I can fully dedicate to it. But yeah, I hope volleyball will always be in my life. So I hope when I'm much older and I really can't play anymore, that I will be able to coach and, you know, go into that side of things. I'd love to.
Barry, we're not even going to talk to you. Busted.
Caught.
Red-handed. Vince, good evening, Vince. I'm delighted that we were able to show you the inner workings of your player's mind. Say hello to the coach, ladies. Barry, we're not even going to talk to you about that thought right now, because obviously you're in the midst of an amazing volleyball career. How committed are you to maintaining this professional lifestyle? what's your drivers in making sure you continue with contracts?
Just how much I'm enjoying it and how much more I know that I've still got to achieve. I feel like each year over the last 4 or 5 years, I felt like the next season I could be better and be better. And for the moment, my body still feels great. I'm taking a lot of care, looking after myself. I enjoy my training sessions. I just enjoy this lifestyle, and I'm not ready to go back and give up and go back to the 9 to 5 life. Like, that's just not for me yet. I want to kind of keep going and see how high up I can play, see what other countries I can experience, what teams I can play for, and see what level I can really get to. And then once, I'm sure there'll be one day when I'll just realise that that's me kind of peaked and it's time to give up and go home. But for the moment, I'm pretty sure I'm nowhere close to it yet. So I'm just gonna keep going for as long as I can and do the best I can.
Okay, awesome. I've only got one other thing that I've wrote on my researcher's pad, and I just want to know and try and get my head around this. So, Carly, I want to take you back to an event that you planned in secret and had people turn up to. How did you manage to keep that a secret from these lovely ladies and all your teammates? I know that I'm not going to tell people. You're going to tell people if they don't already know what I'm alluding to here. So, Carly, how did you manage that? And you better tell everybody because it's cryptic for our viewers. So, off you pop.
Yeah, so basically we decided to plan, we called it a 30th birthday sports day for Greg, and but what we didn't tell people was that at the sports day we were actually going to get married. So everybody turned up in full sports gear, headbands, kind of 80s themes attire, and and then they arrived and there was a sign at the kind of campsite place that we held it to say surprise, we're actually getting married. We did go on and play volleyball and play frisbee and netball afterwards, so nobody was disappointed, nobody was missing out on the sports side of things. but yeah, it was it's funny because loads of people ask me, like, how did you manage to keep that a secret, and like, were you stressed and everything? And the thing is that, like, I mean, Laura and Barry will tell you I'm a terrible liar. Like, if I do like a block touch that's not been called or something, like, I have to turn away from people because I cannot, like, I think my face just gives it away. But I think the way we managed to get around it was I just was talking about a party, which was what I was having. Like, we were having a party. It was Greg's birthday. It was his 30th. We were playing sports, so I just would talk about that. And I didn't have to bring up the other side of it. And I think it was only maybe the week before, because we like got legally married in like a little registry office the week before. So it was only maybe that week where people were asking you, oh, what did you do at the weekend? And I was like, oh, we went for lunch. We went to Calendar. Like, I was just these things that were technically true, but just missing out the part that we'd actually got married. So yeah, but I loved it, and to be honest, I thought it was the most stress-free way to have a wedding. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. Definitely a surprise wedding all the way.
Yeah, there you go. Again, a lot of love on the chat for that. There's Gillian. Hi, Gillian. Oh, happy days. Yeah, that was the sort of last thought. Blair, there's Sabrina Sforza has put in a chat. Barry, do you know Sabrina?
Yes,
she's
I know Sabrina.
Who's the team you're thinking to play for?
Dream would be Amoco in Italy. They win the Champions League. They're just so good, and to live in Italy and play. And this will keep her happy because Sabrina's Italian. So I'm sure this is the answer. The answer
Diplomatic.
she would get. Yes. Yeah, I would say Amoco, but there's Orsu again.
Well,
I'll be back one day.
That's what we want to hear. We want to hear that you will not come back, but not just yet.
Not for a long time, but I'm sure Laura and Carly will still be there. I have every faith. Laura will still be saying one more season.
All right, one more season. Play as long as you can, guys. Sabrina next year. Yeah, Baz, get your finger out next year. Listen, guys, we're 1 minute, hour and 35 minutes in. I could sit and talk to you guys all night, but unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end. So we're gonna wrap it up here, and we're gonna the bosses on the chat. So she's put in a wee message. So Margaret Ann is gonna pop up, and she's saying, the string of fearless comments earlier on you and all. Everybody at Scottish Volleyball for your time, talent, passion, inspiration. Great chat tonight. So Margaret Ann has been watching. I know that she also was meant to be on a referees meeting, so I'm not sure if she's been multitasking on 2 devices, but certainly she's tuned in there, and it's only fitting that we close the show with her comment there. An amazing night. I've really enjoyed it. You've brought oh, wait a minute. Mother-in-law has just popped on the screen, Carly. Bill Murray. Hi, Bill. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, mother-in-law agreed it was the best way to have a wedding. Sports day. Fabulous.
One of the funniest things was people turn up with birthday presents for Greg.
I mean, it's a win-win. I mean, at some point I'll sit down with this fellow and talk to him about how much of a hero status that is, but until that day. What's going to happen now, guys, with the magic and power of TV, you guys are going to pop off screen and go into the backstage studio with Blair, and I'll wrap up and then we'll come in and have a quick debrief. But for tonight, listen, thank you so much. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable, engaging, interactive evening with a lot of your friends and teammates popping on the screen and sending your well wishes. So from me, thank you for being such wonderful company tonight.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. Wow, hour 37 minutes, totally flown in. And a thrilling conversation with the ladies. It's a fantastic evening. I can't wait to see how successful they can be when they get back on the court and they get back to playing and being a unit. I think you can tell from the conversation that they're such a strong team, and they've got a really good connection as players and individuals. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's session, and if you are able to pop a comment in on the Facebook feed, that'd be fantastic. We're not done with SVTV for this month. We've got another engagement coming up, and delighted to be able to bring Dr. Nicola Osborne, the new Scottish Volleyball Chief Medical Officer, and we're going to be talking about the challenges of COVID, her involvement in volleyball as a player, and maybe touch on her journey towards the London 2012 Olympics, where she narrowly missed out, and how she's helping us at Scottish Volleyball and British Volleyball get our performance teams up and running through the world of COVID. So really excited for Nikki to come on and join us next Thursday evening. So don't forget to tune in. Usual social media channels will PR that. We'll do that, and I look forward to spending another evening in your company. Lots of great comments coming in, and we're trying to quickly put them on the screen. So if you've enjoyed it, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next Thursday with Dr. Nicola Osborne. So for me, have a great night.